What's going on, guys? Big Mike D7, finally back here with you guys. Sorry I took some time off. Been able to go on a vacation, get some hunting in finally, got back out after probably about a 6 or 7 year hiatus on hunting. And wasn't the season that I had planned on. I actually just got a deer 2 days ago and got some meat to put in the freezer. May or may not throw a clip in here somewhere. Well, guys, real quick, I will admit that one, my nerves are all over the place because I followed blood. Whoop, as long as my phone wants to cooperate. Followed blood over there. It went up into the next field. Well, I went up into the next field and I lost it. I came back down on the other side of that log and decided, well, I'm going to go this way because there's a good deer path here. Well, you can kind of see it gets a little bloodier. There we go. Freaking doe on the board. I shot at 2 out of a group of 5. My cousin shot 2, probably about 30 minutes before I shot, but we're on the board with a good deer, meat in the freezer. Although I broke a part of my gun, I got a deer to kind of cover for that. But now we got to get her field dressed and get her up to the house. But, yeah, it wasn't too bad getting back into it, but now time to get back into some garage stuff. So, 1, we have a new project to unveil. 2, we got to go over the boosas, go over the other projects that need to be finished because honestly we have too much crap in the garage right now. But first off, let's start with the boosas, see where we got to go with that. So for the most part, Pinky, besides a couple little tweaks, we don't have a whole lot going for that. The biggest thing with Pinky that we need to lock down is a ride back. I want to talk with a buddy who has a lathe. We're going to make a custom foot peg for pushing it back through the pits in case it's needed. We also have to get, I think I'm going to end up pulling the master off of this for the clutch, and I'm actually going to just eliminate that altogether because this bike technically doesn't need it. And if we're going to put the 2-step on a button, I really don't need a master cylinder. It's going to be sitting there kind of just a waste of space, a little bit of weight. So we're going to pull the line off, pull the, what's it called? Pull the master off altogether, the lever, everything's going to be gone. And then that'll pretty much be it. The turbo bike is the big one on the agenda. So the reason the motor hasn't been out of the bike yet is because I was going to make a custom plate for my Harbor Freight engine stand. So that way I could pull the motor off, mount the plate to it, and then mount it onto the engine stand. Well, 1, I haven't really had the time. A lot of my buddies have been busy to help me pull the motor out of the bike and then get the plate figured out. But Schnitz Racing kind of beat me to the punch, and they just released an engine stand, which I can probably link down below because I bought enough stuff from Schnitz now. They have great products. They do a lot of R&D for a lot of products that just make lives as a racer a lot easier. A lot of plug-and-play stuff, a lot of more in-house things that, I mean, as far as I know, there's like 4 people in the Schnitz family that race or have raced, and they know what it's like to work on this kind of stuff. So they have the experience, they have the products, and they built this engine stand for the newer and older Harbor Freight lifts because the tube diameter, which allows you to spin the motor upside down, changed on the models between the old and new. But we're going to get the motor dropped out of the turbo bike, do a full inspection of the transmission, see what is wrong with it, and then depending on what is wrong with it, it's either going to be a quick fix and the bike will be back up and running for next season, or if it's more intensive, then we're going to have to really start tearing into it, which I don't want to do. But if we have to, that means we can overbuild. So we can add a little bit more to the bike, make the motor stronger, and then once we get, oh, actually, there's one other thing for the pink bike that I'm looking at, which if anybody can help me, that'd be greatly appreciated, is I want to get either Woolwich software or ECU editor to be able to plug into this, do a flash. I think Boost by Smith sells one. And right now they're out of stock. So I haven't been able to get one here recently, but something that will allow me to tune the pink bike. Pink bike's going to be our guinea pig for getting more in-depth in tuning. The turbo bike's tune has been great for the past couple years, so I'm not complaining about that. But we're going to use the pink bike as a guinea pig, get used to what we got to play with. I know that there's, I think it's Horsepower Academy or something like that. They do a lot of how-to, especially with certain computers, Max ECU, Hall Tech, Fuel Tech, Holly, all that kind of stuff. They do informative lessons and stuff that you can go to. I might go through one of those to learn the ins and outs of tuning. If not, I'm going to go straight to Jason, who tuned all my bikes, and try to see if I can get a sit down with him and try to understand the process more. But once we do that, the turbo bike will probably end up getting some form of ECU, whether it's a modified stock ECU with a bunch of plug and play add-ons like the I know Woolwich has a lot of racing products that you can add to the stock computer to make it a lot more race oriented, I guess. So that's something, but other than that, turbo bike's pretty much fine. The biggest thing that I did want to look into, but it's still up in the air, is wow, why can't I think of his name? Bill Venturo, that I race with, has the Spider-Man bar bike. His son Alex races too, and so does Lucas. So he has a back half chassis. Now that is good for a Gen 1 or a Gen 2 Busa. I've been contemplating it. I'm not sure if I want to go that route or not, because I've kind of always wanted a bar bike, but this one is kind of a way to do a bar bike without having a fully built, either a Pro Mod, Pro Stock, or like a fully altered chassis. Now this is basically, you take a stock Busa frame, you do make it a cut rail, you bolt on this rear end that makes the rear of the bike completely solid, you add the bars to that, and then it basically converts your stock frame into a wheelie bar chassis. So it's something I contemplated for the pink bike, because the pink bike is very bare bones. It'll be the perfect setup to just throw it on and go. But the big thing with that I can do is I can just do a lockup clutch. So I can still have the regular clutch lever, basically go up on the line. I think MPS Racing, which now Dustin Lee currently runs MPS, is you can pull the clutch in, hit a button that holds the lever, and then once you release that lever, the clutch just flies out. It has a like a hydraulic release, which allows the clutch to slip on its own, but basically just by restricting hydraulic flow on the clutch. So it's a pretty cool setup. I've heard guys that do it. Once you get it tuned, it is very, very consistent. It's supposed to be really, really good. I talk with a lot of old school guys that know the ins and outs of this stuff, and they said it is a route that I could go that's not going to be that expensive, versus no shots at Hayes, at MTC, at anything for the Gen 2 clutches, the lockups, the sliders, all that kind of stuff. This thing here literally will be a $300 clutch lever, or at least a master setup, and a stock clutch with a bigger basket, and I believe I just need springs. And it's pretty much ready to roll. So it's a very cheap alternative, but it's just, once you get it dialed in, you're good, but it does take a while. I've heard that it takes a while, so we're going to run it with that. But let's get into this now, talk about the newest project bike, talk about the couple little projects to get done around the shop, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. So the new project, Payson actually helped me out with, because it's me and him's project, but anybody that's new to the channel knows or doesn't know that me and some friends started a nonprofit beginning of this year. Now, we've been a car group for the past couple of years, and have been doing car shows, raising money for other nonprofits and supporting the community with toy drives, food drives, things like that. So we have Project Cornbread, which is our memorial bike for a friend of ours that passed away back in 2018, but this has also been a drunk driving awareness bike. This bike has been signed by friends, family, football team, coaches, everybody that knew my friend Harrison Fenstemacher. But this has been our showpiece for our nonprofit for a while now. So kind of adding into that is Payson couldn't help but find a deal on another bike, and we want to make another tribute bike out of it. Well, this one's going to be a military tribute. Now, what would be more fitting than to do an American bike? So we found, well, Payson found, 1991 Harley Davidson Ultra Classic. So this is a, we got lucky. So this has a RevTech 100 cubic inch motor, Has an S&S carburetor, S&S intake. As far as I know, it is still stock transmission, stock clutch, but the bike already has a couple things done to it. It does have a Vance & Hines exhaust, a 2-to-1, and it's pretty well set up. Now, it is in pieces because we did start tearing into it just to try to strip some stuff off of it. But we're going to make a really nice street and strip setup with this bike, and the plan is that depending on how the season goes, because I have a lot of stuff on my plate this coming year, and with the nonprofit, it kind of cuts into the racing. But the big thing for me is to try to get this bike, as long as we can get it done, down to XDA to run in street ET, because this is going to be true hand clutch. It's going to be stock, well, pretty much stock for the most part. I mean, we're going to try to lighten it up, maybe do some carbon fiber fenders, maybe, I actually think, is it Montgomery or DME? One of the two makes a carbon body kit for these things, as well as a fuel cell. But I think we have to keep stock tank. But we're going to do whatever we can to get this bike set up to be a street and strip, street ET bike, and hopefully go down to XDA and have some fun with it. Now, again, this bike is very bare bones. There's a lot of stuff we're taking off. I'm currently trying to get the auxiliary lights off, because I'm actually going to put them on my Harley, because these are the same chassis. But this bike, couldn't really pass up the deal on it. So we have a new project, which is another Harley. But yeah, it's going to be something interesting. Trying to make the tribute bike, do a paint job for it. Just make it in remembrance of those that serve, those that are serving, and even those that want to serve. Because I came from a military family. Honestly, my parents are the only ones that pushed me in a different route. I did go to college. I planned on going from college into the military, but I was offered a job immediately out of school. I took it, and pretty much everything went from there. Now, I still dabble with a lot of stuff. I don't know, kind of wish I would have went in the military. I did used to do a lot of marksmanship courses and things like that, and was able to be ranked from the NRA. But it is what it is. I still go out and have fun doing competitions, but it is what it is. But we want to make this bike in memory of those that served, and do whatever we can to take it with us to our events. Also, when we go to the racetrack, it's something there that can be very, very crowd appealing. I mean, it's something that, to me, you kind of can't take for granted what anybody in the military does, because no matter how you feel about it, they're going out to defend what they feel is right, whether it may truly be or not, and give their life for that every day. And a lot of people take that for granted, what they do, and we just want to give back. And we figured this would be an easy way to do it, because it's something that all of us here that have been on the channel love, and it's something that we can keep doing. So this is our new project. We're going to be tearing into it here pretty soon. Biggest thing is getting the motor off the turbo bike, and then getting things rearranged out here. Once the motor's out of the turbo bike, the Harley's going to go on the stand, and then we're all going to go from there. The RD project, anybody remembers that? The 74 Yamaha RD. That is only, I need to drop off the gas tank to my buddy Vince with Venturo Welding and Fabrication. He is going to patch our tank, put a new bung on it for a fuel cap, I guess, and then put the fuel tank on, do some final tuning, and that bike is ready to roll. I went through and restacked the clutch, because the clutch felt a little funny. Found out that there were some plates that were stuck together. And actually, in a spare box of parts, I found a fiber plate that was not in the clutch pack. And found out that there were two steels that were stuck together. So rearranged the clutch, got everything feeling better. Just had to get the tank finished, get that back on. The bike will be ready to roll. Dad's bike, trying to figure out what we're doing with that, because we went out and got the new tires put on it, got tubes, because it is spoke wheels, and somebody jacked up the valve stem, because I came out a while ago and the tires were flat on brand new wheels and tires and tubes. So we got to try to get that figured out and hopefully get this thing up and running. This was going to be my dad's bike. This was also going to be his military tribute. He was going to do this up in Marine Corps colors and all kinds of stuff, because my dad is a Marine Corps veteran, and he wanted to really do this bike up for him. It was a bike that he couldn't pass up as well. So just going to see what happens with this. But yeah, we got plenty of stuff coming. Now that hunting season's pretty much wrapped up, I might go out here and there, but we got some wrenching to do, and we got time to do it. But season starts in March. We got to get cranking. But as always, guys, I hope you liked the video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Anything more about the bikes, more about the channel, drop comments, check descriptions down below for all the companies that I use for pretty much everything here in the shop. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Hit that subscribe button, as well as a little bell for notifications. And as always, guys, I will see you on the next one. Ride safe, ride smart, always wear your helmet. See ya.